Hello and welcome to another episode of the Top Dogs podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network. My name is Rob Dauster. I have a fun one for you today. I was able to catch up with our favorite defender, the best defensive player in all of college basketball, the best dunker in all of college basketball, the most athletic human being in all of college basketball, and a guy who sounds like he could have one day been a professional jiu-jitsu. I don't know if you call him a fighter, trainer, whatever you want to call it. But Andre Jackson, if you haven't figured it out, was able to jump on the podcast. Part of the reason we got him on is because he is doing a meet and greet event on Thursday, 7 p.m. at Red Fox Restaurant in Middletown, Connecticut, 218 Smith Street. If you're listening to this and you can get there, go and support the local businesses, go and support the local restaurants, go and support your favorite defensive menace, if you can make it there. I always say eat local, man. Don't eat these chain restaurants. Don't eat at the brands that are national. Go and find the places that are local. Go and find the people that are in your community day to day and support them. Support those restaurants. That's what Red Fox is. So it's a good event. If you can make it, go check it out. Before we get into this interview, we got Big East play starting on Saturday. I don't know if it's possible to ask for a better start to the season than what UConn has had. I don't think it's humanly possible to expect anything more than a team that is A, undefeated, that is B, winning every single game by double digits, C, smacking around a really, really good Alabama team that went into Houston and erased a 15-point deficit in the final 17 minutes, beat them by 14, 4, ranked in the top 3 of both the AP and the coaches poll, 5, ranked in the top of all of the metrics that matter, including KenPom. It's been an unbelievable ride to start the season. It's something that I did not expect. I thought UConn was going to be good. I thought we were looking at a tournament team. I thought we were looking at a team that was going to win a game, maybe 2 in the tournament. I thought that they were going to give a run for Creighton's money and for Villanova's money for potentially a Big East regular season title. I thought that we'd be looking at a Saturday night in March in Madison Square Garden with a chance to play for a Big East regular season or Big East tournament title. Thought all those things were happening. I did not think that I was going to be the annoying guy on the Field of 68 after dark, because every time someone has to talk about UConn being great, they look at me and they're like, oh, we got to compliment Rob now. Oh, Rob's going to be so annoying. And you know what? You are damn right. It's not that often that teams that you support can have a season like this. So I am fully on board with just enjoying every single second of it, enjoying the ride, having fun with it. That's what sports are supposed to be. That's what it's all about, man. It's all about fun. None of this is really all that serious for the people on the outside. So enjoy it while it lasts. And hopefully this can be something of a memorable college basketball season. Before we dive fully in the interview, let's just talk a little bit about what to expect out of this team and kind of what to expect from the Big East this year. Of course, we're opening up at Butler. Thad Matta is one of the best coaches in college basketball, is a guy that I respect immensely for his basketball acumen. And I do think that this is a team that actually has more talent than what their start to the season might imply. They've been banged up. They've been missing some people, but they got a 5-man in Manny Bates that is going to give UConn's 5s, Adama and Donovan Clingan, is going to give him a little bit of trouble. I mean, he's a very, very good defensive presence at the 5. They have some athletes. They have some wings. On paper, they kind of match up pretty well with UConn in terms of the length and athleticism of the guys around him. They can play 4 around 1 if they need to. They haven't gotten Ali back, and he's the guy that kind of unlocks everything for them. But the size and athleticism difference on the perimeter is, I think, what's going to make the difference. I also just want to say Hinkle Fieldhouse is a place where top 5 teams go to die. Butler finds a way to knock them off. Thad Matta has a reputation for finding ways to knock off top 5 teams. So anybody that is expecting UConn to go in and waltz their way to a victory, that's not the way that it's going to work. That's not the way that it works on the road. That's not the way that it works in Big East play. And that's not the way that it works when you go into that building. So I'm expecting something of a dogfight, quite literally, Huskies against Bulldogs. Hopefully Huskies find a way to pull it out. They should probably be favored on KenPom. What am I talking about? This game is yeah, it's at Butler. On KenPom, UConn is a 10-point favorite. I would guess that it probably opens up closer to like 8.5 on Bet Rivers. So I think you probably want to be on UConn at this point because UConn hasn't had a game where they've won by fewer than 10 points yet this year. So Butler, just for the record, lost by 6 at Penn State. They got smacked by Tennessee in the first round of the battle for Atlantis, and then they lost by 15 to a pretty good NC State team in the, I guess that would have been the 5th place game in the battle for Atlantis. They do have a win over a good Kansas State team that I think is going to probably finish somewhere around 500 in the Big 12. So it's not like they have a completely empty resume. Good team. Let's talk about what we look at the top of the Big East standings this year. I mean, look, Creighton they lost 5 in a row. They've fallen off a cliff. They had Ryan Kalkbrenner and couldn't find a way to score against Nebraska when they lost at home. They lost Ryan Kalkbrenner to a sickness, to an illness prior to the BYU game on Sunday night, and they couldn't get a stop on Saturday night against BYU. They lost to Arizona State and Bobby Hurley on Monday night. It's just Creighton falling off has not necessarily been something that I expected, and they are currently sitting in a position where they're going to have to make up some ground. If the NCAA tournament started today, I don't know if they would necessarily be an NCAA tournament team, and they certainly would not be seated where I thought they were going to be seated heading into the season. I would rank them as one of the bigger disappointments based on preseason expectation in college basketball this season. I still think they have a chance to turn it around. Like, they have 3 or 4 pros. Ryan Kalkbrenner is as good as anybody defensively when he is at his best, and you got to figure eventually that team's going to start making some shots. So I'm still kind of in on Creighton long term, but yeah, the start has not necessarily been great. I think right now I would say that Marquette is probably the second best team in the league. They have so many weapons. They're so dangerous in terms of their versatility. They're the one team in the conference that can kind of space you out and pull your big guys away from the basket with the way the Oso Iguodala is playing, and the way the Omax Prosper is playing. We saw what they did to that Baylor team, beat them by 26 in Milwaukee. So that's going to be a tough matchup. And just on paper, the way that they can kind of space you out and force you to play their style is something that's a little bit difficult. And I'm in on Villanova finding a way to turn this thing around. The start of the season did not go well for them, but I think we've seen enough from Cam Whitmore to say that he is as good as advertised, right? I think we've seen enough for him to kind of buy into this idea that the impact that he's going to have as a freshman is going to be the impact that we would expect 5-star McDonald's All-Americans to have as freshmen. He's the real deal. Getting him back, I think, changes a lot of things for what Villanova can be. I think that once they get Justin Moore back, hopefully in mid-January, they can get him back up to speed, and he can kind of be the guy we thought he was going to end up being. And by February, I don't know if this is going to be a Villanova team that we want to play. The biggest issue right now is probably on the defensive end of the floor, and I think that comes around a little bit, especially with Cam Whitmore out there. When you got a 6'6" dude with a 7-foot wingspan and his level of athleticism, they're going to be good. Same kind of issue that I think Xavier's having right now. They can score with the best of them. They can't really get stops. We saw that kind of play out in the second half against Cincinnati, and they found a way to get it done. So to me, it's kind of like a top 4 in the Big East right now still. And I have questions about everyone else. I'm honestly concerned about how many bids this conference is going to end up getting. Providence has not really moved the needle for me. Georgetown stinks. DePaul stinks. St. John's is 10-1, but they haven't done a damn thing that should impress you at all this season. So I think the bottom of the conference, it kind of fell out. Seton Hall is whatever to me. I know they got the win over Memphis, but that was a fluky way to end a game. And Providence, the reason why you buy in on Providence is that you say Bryce Hopkins is really good and Ed Cooley knows how to win basketball games and scheme matchups to allow them to be better than what they are on paper. And that's kind of why you're thinking they can get something done. Their best win right now is over a Rhode Island team that currently ranks 193rd on KenPom. So Providence 69th on KenPom. That's a very, very nice rating for them there. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. KenPom projects UConn to win every game this season. He doesn't have them going undefeated. I think that they'll probably lose 3 or 4 games during Big East play. That's just the way that it works in conference. That's the way that it works on the road. That's the way that it works with some of these programs that have tougher, older dudes that are going to match up with. But UConn's not going to play anybody as good as Alabama the rest of the year. They're not going to play anyone that is as good as them the rest of the season. And we should go into this year expecting that there's going to be a Big East regular season title banner coming back our way when things are all said and done and ending up in the stores. So, yeah, Big East play starts. It's here. The season is here. The season's in full swing. So we'll see you guys on Saturday. Couple reminders. The Field of 68 Daily. It's our newsletter. It comes out every morning, 8:30 a.m. It's the best way to stay updated on everything that's happening in college basketball. Even if you only like UConn and don't care about anything else. If you want to keep the pulse on what's happening everywhere in the sport, make sure you subscribe there. It's free. The only thing you got to do is check your email every morning while you're drinking your coffee or eating your cereal or taking your morning dump. It's really that simple. The other thing is our merch store. We do have some new UConn gear in there. You can get a Field of 68 t-shirt if you want it. We have some other stuff in there that I think is interesting. Just go peruse it. If there's something in there that catches your eye, pick it up, help support the brand, help support the channel. All that stuff really does help. The last thing that I'm going to say is it has nothing to do with UConn, but we are going to be going down to Greenville on Saturday, broadcasting Furman against Stephen F. Austin on the Field of 68, exclusively on the Field of 68. John Fanta, Terrence Oglesby, myself on the broadcast. I'm so excited to kind of push the network and push this company into that realm. I don't know where it's going to go from here, but I really hope that eventually one day we can get to the point where maybe we can have a UConn game on our network. That would be one of the coolest things I think imaginable. That's probably a long way down the road, but hey, you know what, man? You got to shoot for the stars. You're never going to be able to reach them if you don't try to get there at first. So with that in mind, let's get into this interview with Andre Jackson. It's a fun one. And now let me welcome on to the Top Dogs podcast, a 6'6" junior that leads UConn in assists, lead UConn in steals, and leads them, period, having been named a co-captain of this team. It is Andre Jackson. Andre, what's going on, man? I appreciate you being here.
What's up, man? I appreciate you having me, man. I appreciate it for sure.
So I'm gonna start you off with an easy question. You guys are sitting here, number 3 in the AP poll, number 3 in the coaches poll, number 1 in all the metrics, including KenPom and Torvik and all those different things. From the outside, people like me expect you to be pretty good this season. I don't know if anybody saw this coming. You guys are on the inside. You're in practice every day. You see these guys. You play with these guys. These are your teammates. Did you see this kind of year coming out of this group?
I mean, it's always been a vision for us, but you know what I mean? You never really know until you go up against another opponent. So we just were really battling all preseason, just trying to work for spots, work for roles, and just trying to get better, honestly. And we all really competitive. So that just led to like a lot of growth and also like us being able to come together through a lot of different things and not splintering at moments definitely helps as well. Like that's something big that coaches emphasize, that I emphasize, is just like when things go bad, like we got to come together and try to figure it out. Even if you end up still maybe not winning that segment of practice, like you can't just let your team fall apart. You know what I mean? Because then that's just going to lead to losing habits and stuff like that. So that's just everyday thing, and that's something today maybe we even struggle with. You know what I mean? So it's like every day just trying to lock in on all those little things and just trying to stick to your identity, stick to the script of what the coaches are trying to do, and just really just go out there and try to compete and win.
The thing that stands out to me about this group more than anything else is like the connectedness, right? How together you guys are. For me, it really stands out. You know, I didn't play basketball at the level that you play basketball at, but I played at a high enough level where I kind of know what's going on and I see and I can appreciate, you know, when your rotations are right, when you're hedging hard, when you got that guy tagging a roller and then you're back before the ball gets over there, right? So it's those little things to me really stand out. How does that come about? Is it just, you know, you're doing shell drill over and over and over again in practice? Is it, you know, you're going to get cussed out by Coach Hurley if you miss a defensive rotation? What is it that kind of what brings that about?
It's definitely both. Like coach is definitely going to get on you case if you're not there in the hole, like heavy. Like that's not something that he plays around about. So you're automatically gonna have that inclination to want to be there. And then on top of that, it's just like we hold each other accountable as well. So it's like guys are just in the right spots and we do it all the time every day. So it kind of is all like works together, like holding each other accountable, coach holding us accountable, and then also just like us doing it, just repetition every day and
Mhm.
just we're consistent. And that's just something that I've been doing since I got here. But I feel like this team has been able to take like the holds, tagging the rollers, knowing the scout to another level just because of the way that we're connected off the court as well as on the court.
Do you guys get along as well as it seems? Like I've seen teams and I've been on teams where people don't really like each other, and it does not seem like you guys have that issue. It seems like everybody's friends, everybody hangs out. Is that am I getting the right vibe?
Yeah, definitely. We have a lot of guys that like are all willing to like come together and do it together. Nobody's trying to do it by themselves. So definitely, there's no really like rough relationships on our team. There hasn't been any type of scuffles or anything like that. Like we have a lot of guys who are just like willing to help each other and willing to work off of each other. Like nobody is out here like trying to take it off themselves. So yeah, this definitely is like one of the most connected groups I've been on, and I haven't so far. It's early in the season. There hasn't been like anything that has made me think that like this is a selfish group. But you know what I mean? You just got to continue to make sure you're harping on all those little things that coach does. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
he's constantly telling us like it could be cool today and tomorrow it'd be a completely different thing. So that's just we're trying to stay on that same exact thing that we've been on since the summer when everybody got here and we had to figure out what we were gonna do.
So you're a co-captain for this group. So you have been put into a leadership role within this team. How do you help that? How have you fostered some of those relationships? Are you guys, going and getting pizza different nights? Are you going bowling? Like, are there things that you do as a team, or is it just is it natural? You guys just get along?
We naturally get along. Definitely, like we naturally just get along. A lot of the guys that did transfer in, we all had. I've hung out with them before they even committed, so like they told me like what they were trying to do. They told me about their role, what they wanted on the court. Coach told me what he wanted from them. So I feel like we had a really clear like just understanding of each other and what we were gonna do for each other, and that helped us on the court. So then it's not too much bumping heads and stuff like that, and nobody is like selfish. So it helps definitely, and I think that most of the guys on the team are all like all into winning, and I think that's the biggest thing. And
Right.
the more we can just all get on board with the same plan and the same vision, with just like sticking in our routines and stuff like that, we'll be able to take it.
All right. So you have a meet and greet event coming up this week. I believe it's Thursday night, 7 o'clock on at Red Fox Restaurant, Middletown, Connecticut, 218th Smith Street. If you guys are listening to this, if you're a UConn fan, if you can make it, go by, swing by, support the restaurant, support the local community, support Andre. Let me ask you this, Ray. So NIL is something that's been a big topic of discussion when it comes to college athletics. How have you seen a difference in the way that this kind of impacts your day to day? Right? Is it something that you're focused on? Is it a priority for you? Is it just this is now part of the business when it comes to being a big time collegiate athlete?
It's not something I think about every day. Most of the deals I do are like not. I don't really have to do much. Like this is one of the only deals that I've done so far where like I have to go make an appearance. So that's definitely pretty cool and something that's different for me. But I'll try to really just limit it as much as possible. Like I don't want to anything to distract me from like the main goal. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to win. You're trying to play college basketball. If you try to add on, I'm trying to be a millionaire and I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that. You have too many different things that you're focusing on. So I try to just keep it at a level that I can just maintain it and that it doesn't overwhelm me in my everyday life. But then, like, I'm not really thinking about it too much. It's more so just something that comes along with it. You know what I mean? You get to get some money to play college basketball now, basically.
You got to keep the main thing the main thing, and if the main thing is
Yes,
the main thing, and you succeed at it, then the money's going to come, and everything else is going to come, right?
yes, sir.
So, speaking of NIL, your athletic director, David Benedict, I don't know if you saw this. He had an interaction with someone on Twitter that was asking how much it would cost, how much he would have to pay to allow you to dunk on him. I don't know if you saw that, but through open doors, there's a way that we can make this happen. Is this a possibility? Is this something that you would be willing to do? And is there a price tag that you can put on
If I was to dunk on somebody, I mean, shoot, yeah, I would do it. It's
it?
not. This is not something that's too bad. I would do it. That's funny.
All
He
right.
asked me to do that though.
Yeah. Did you see that? Did you see it come through?
Nah, I didn't see it. Why do you think he wants to get dunked on though?
I have no idea. I have no idea. That's what you want to avoid doing for most basketball people, right? That's the number one thing. Speaking of dunking, you're pretty athletic. When was the first time that you actually dunked on a 10-foot hoop? How old were you?
I remember getting like a rim grazer dunk when I was going into my seventh grade, like year.
Seventh grade.
I was going into seventh grade, yeah, but this was like during AAU. So it was like sixth grade summer going into seventh grade. But then that was like a small dunk. Once I started dunking, like actually being able to dunk consistently was seventh grade. When I was playing for like JV team.
So that was the first time you caught a dunk in a game was seventh grade.
Yeah.
When was the first time you dunked on somebody?
Um, I really can't even remember. I think after probably eighth grade. Probably eighth grade.
I'm just imagining all the little eighth graders running around in Amsterdam, New York, getting dunked on by Andre Jackson right now.
Yeah, they'll remember.
So let me ask you this, and it's something I'm actually really interested in the answer. What position do you view yourself as? Not necessarily what do you play for UConn, but what position do you view yourself as?
I feel like I can really get plugged in anywhere. Like I feel like I can really just kind of fit wherever the team needs me. And it's like I could play probably, in my opinion, probably the 1 through 4 on both sides of the ball. Just like I feel like I can guard 1 through 4 definitely, but like playing offensive, I think I definitely could get better at playing like at the 4, like screens and stuff like that, learning to slip screens, learning to rescreen, stuff like that. But I think I view myself as like uh I would say a wing. I've always viewed myself as a guard,
Mhm.
but I feel like my role changes depends on who's on the court with me. Like if I'm on a court where there's a lot of primary ball handlers, then I'll run the lanes, I'll run ahead. I'll, set screens, get ahead in transition. If I'm one of the more ball dominant players on the court, then I'll push it myself, find open guys, stuff like that. And if I'm at like the 4 or not the 5, but like the 4, I set good screens. I could set pin downs. I could roll to the basket, different stuff like that. Just trying to continuously grow my game. But honestly, I don't really view myself as one position. It's kind of like wherever I got to be at that point in time.
And I think that's your value, right? That's what makes you so good. You could be the guy that catches the lob. You could be the guy that throws the lob. You could be the guy that sets the pin down. You could be the guy that comes off the curl, right? You could be the guy that's running in transition on the wing. You could be the guy throwing the hit ahead passes. Is that what has allowed you to kind of accept that? I kind of want to call you like a glue guy, right? But it feels like that's kind of nullifying a little bit of the value you provide. But it's just you're the piece that brings everything together. So was there? You don't often see somebody accept that role that has an NBA future in their career. So what is it about this team, your personality? Like, why is that mesh so well?
It's just who I am, really. Like I'm not really into the all like the I love basketball at the end of the day. That's really what it is. Like whatever I gotta do to win, that's what I'm gonna do. It's not that much deeper than that for me. And then it's also like I look up to guys like that. I look up to Marcus Smart and I look up to I look up to Draymond Greens and I look up to those guys more than I look up to guys like Kevin Durant. So it's not really like that's more of who I am. And I just accept my role. I accept who I am as a player. And I feel like I can always grow and I can always get better. And I feel like I have a really high ceiling, but I think it's just like about accepting who you are. If I'm trying to be something I'm not, then I'm not going to be nearly as effective. The fact that I'm able to accept my role and play to my strengths and not my weaknesses allows me to be an effective player.
Yeah, there's guys that can do the job that you do that play a long time in the NBA, make a lot of money in the NBA. There's a lot of guys that can't do those things that end up playing in Europe and scoring in Europe, right? That's kind of the way that I viewed it. If you can accept that role and do that job and be the best in the world at it, you're gonna have a spot in the NBA for a long time. Let me ask you this. So I think what makes this UConn team so good is that you do the hard things well. And what I mean by that is you guys defend your asses off. You guys are as good on the glass as anybody in the country. You never have to question your effort. You never have to question intensity. And when you do all of those things, then that kind of sets the floor for what you're going to be. Like you don't have to play well offensively to win games by 15 or 20 points right now, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think when you rely on your defense, and you rely on rebounding, and you lock into the scout and all the little tiny intangibles that like maybe other teams are slipping up on, then you'll get an automatic advantage when you start the game. And then also just having a will to win and having all five players on the court and everybody on the bench locked into the same vision, same goal. That just leads to winning. And I think that you can never really control whether you win or lose. It's all about how you prepare. And
Mhm.
that's just like what we do. We prepare the right way. Coaches prepare us the right way. I feel like we're one of the most prepared teams in the country when it comes to like our defensive approach when we go against a team. We usually know a lot of what they're trying to do and what they're trying to get. So I credit most of it to the coaches, like honestly, and then also to like my teammates for being able to like come here from being transfers, freshmen, all types of guys to just come here and just and be able to lock into in the coach's system and really understand it and learn it.
Yeah, why does that work so well? I mean, last year, right? You guys had no one in the portal leave. You had no one in the portal come in. This year, that kind of changed, right? You turned over the roster a little bit, and I think one of the toughest things in college basketball right now is when you get into the portal, you have new faces coming in, guys that are going to be older, guys that already have experiences at other programs, and it's worked. There's other teams across the country, we don't have to talk about it, but there's other teams that where it hasn't worked. With you guys, it has. What is it? Is that just like the making sure you bring in the right personalities and the right human beings to fit within that locker room to get along with you guys? Is it just that simple?
I think it's all coach. Like he picked up, he recruited these guys, and the coaching staff did that, and they know they're good recruiters. They bring in the right type of character guys, and they also bring in talented guys. So you have a combination of talent and a good personality, and you're raised the right way. You know what I mean? You have the right work ethic and stuff like that. You're willing to learn and pick up on new things, then it'll work. It's all like when everything gets like complicated, is if somebody comes in and is stubborn in their ways and doesn't want to change from the way that their previous coach maybe coached them. And I don't think anybody on this team has really done that. Everybody has tried their hardest to really just figure out this system,
Yeah.
and that's helped us a lot.
Yeah. If there was a player that's like that, it's not someone that Coach Hurley is going to target.
Yeah, not as much exactly.
Donovan Clingan. I think they're calling him, the student section is now calling him Kling Kong. I don't know if you saw that. He's come in, Connecticut kid. When you have a player that's that good from in the state, you got to get him. Did you see this level of impact coming from him in the offseason? Like when you guys were doing your captain's practices or your offseason scrimmages and offseason workouts, was he as good as he's been so far this year?
Shoot, I mean, yeah, I think it was like for me, it was always just like you could do this in practice, but like, all right, like when it gets to the game, are you gonna be able to, you know what I mean, remain consistent and not get like caught up in the outside noise? Because when you're a freshman, that's something that I struggle with. So I seen him, I'm like, all right, yeah, if he can stay level headed, he's gonna be great for us. For like, just because like he's such a lob threat, he's so big, he's so tall, and he also is so eager to learn. So every day he's trying to learn, and the coaches are teaching him the right stuff. Like he makes really good like aggressive moves and stuff like that. He has really good footwork for a 7 footer. Gets up the floor pretty fast, and I think I always seen that he's going to be a easy player for me to play with because he's so big. I could just like as soon as he rolls behind the defense, I could throw it so early that it was just like, all right, this is different than any other player I really ever played with. So
It's like
it
when
was
guys throw
definitely
lobs
like
to you, right? It's just, yeah, put up by the square. He'll find a way to get it.
yeah, maybe shoot, but he's right there. You could just throw wherever with him. I mean, I could do it too, but I don't know. I think it's definitely fun to play with him now.
Are you guys keeping track of who has more dunks this season?
Nah, I have no clue. It's probably him though.
Yeah, everything he shoots is a dunk. So,
Yeah,
all right, I got a couple questions about you. So, I read that your mom was a professional boxer. Is that correct?
yeah. She was a boxer for a while.
And your uncles fought jujitsu, and
Yeah,
you either trained or competed at jujitsu for a while.
yeah.
So,
I trained in
right.
jiu-jitsu for like a couple years when I was younger. And both of my uncles are, I'm pretty sure they're black belts. My mom trained in judo, jiu-jitsu, boxing. She did amateur boxing, professional boxing, but then she ended up stopping because she had to take care of us.
If you had gone down that route, whether it was MMA, whether it was jujitsu, whether it was boxing, where do you think you would be right now? If you had just no basketball, no other sports, just focused on boxing, what would you be right now?
I don't know. I really love basketball. I never really had the love for that. Like it never was like something I wanted to do every day, all day. So I never really fell in love with it. I don't know like where it would have ended up, but my mom always wanted me to go box and be in a boxing gym and stuff like that. I always just wanted to play basketball though. That was kind of my thing.
Good to know you don't like getting punched in the face. Is there anyone on the team if you had a if you had to scrap with anybody, right? Is there anyone on the team right now? You train. Is there anyone on the team you think can take you down? Or are you going to be the champ? We have a UConn
Could take me
basketball
down.
Royal Rumble. Who's winning?
If we have a UConn basketball Royal Rumble, I'm gonna have to go with Adama. I
You
feel like
think?
yeah, Adama's he's just a force, a very big guy, strong. He's probably definitely the strongest person on the team, I would say, when it comes to weight room stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I don't like to fight my teammates. I love all them guys.
Yeah, you're fighting the other team, right? They got to
Yeah,
have the other jersey on.
that's what's them.
Everyone we have on this show, I get to tell a story, whether it's about Coach Curley or Coach Hurley or Coach Calhoun, whoever they played for. So Tom Moore came on and had some pretty hilarious stories about Coach Calhoun. So I'm going to need your best Coach Hurley story, whether it was a time when he did something hilarious in practice, whether it was something that he did on the bench. Just we know he's a nut. UConn fans love him because he's a nut. So I need your best Coach Hurley story.
My best Coach Hurley story would have to be the day we were in film room. I don't remember what game it was after, but actually I do remember what game it was after. It was after a scrimmage last year. It was after our first. It was after our scrimmage against Rutgers, I think. And he just told me like, Dre, like you have all these dreams and aspirations of being this great player, and you want to be great, and I get it, but like you got to figure out how to just be a useful player for us this year. And that really just it brought me down to earth, and I was like, damn. And that kind of just shaped my perspective for how I just like attacked it for the rest of the year. Just like, all right, I got to find a way to be effective because I can't be a nuisance to the team. I need to help this team win. So that was something that really just hit home for me, and I'll never forget. That's one of my craziest stories.
Well, one of the things that I keep hearing about him is that his practices are super intense, right? Like push you to the brink intense. But in games, it's more everything is like, I'm going to pump these guys up. I'm going to be their biggest supporter and the biggest cheerleader during the actual games when we're competing and we're trying to win. Does that sound about right? Like it just everyone's seen the clip and the meme of him with Jalen Adams from what was that? I think it was 2017. But is that do you get that vibe from him?
Yeah, definitely. Like that's his approach is because in practice he's gonna get on you and make a very tough environment. He's trying to make the environment in practice tougher than the game. And then once the game comes, we're all pushing the same direction. We're all trying to get the same thing. And I think that helps a lot because when you're in practice, a lot of times there's not all the hype surrounding it. So it's easier for people to get complacent or people to just chill. But when it comes to game day, everybody is most of the time brings their energy. So I feel like he does that for a reason. Just making it a harder in practice would make it so that the game is easier.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you get to the game, it slows down.
All right. So I'm going to end it with this. I got 4 questions for you here. I need truthful, honest answers from you, Dre. They're all about the team. Who is the funniest guy on the team?
The funniest guy, in my opinion, would have to be Joey. I'm gonna go with Joey or Andrew Hurley.
Andrew Hurley, yeah, I can see that. Who's the best? Who's the best dancer?
The best dancer on the team, I'm gonna have to go with Hassan. Definitely,
Hassan?
Yeah.
Who's the guy that you never let get the aux cord?
They never let me get the aux cord, so I'm gonna go
Is that
with.
what it is?
Yeah, they don't like my music.
What do you put on?
I put on all types of random things, Wu Tang, and then I'll throw on like Scissor. Then I'll listen to like Old Dirty Bastard. It's just a lot of different random things that I like to listen to. So they don't really always indulge in my music taste.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that, man. I thought that you would have you'd have better taste in music than that. And the last one I got for you is who's the best cook on the team? Is anyone throw down in the kitchen?
I'll throw down in the kitchen for sure, but I know Adama cooks some stuff too. So I would probably have to say myself though, because I'm the only one that's cooking the meal for like the team. You know what I mean?
So if I'm coming over, right? We're having Sunday dinner. What are you making?
Probably rice and beans and some chicken cutlets.
Rice and beans and chicken cutlets. Yeah, that sounds very New York right there, Andre. Listen, man, I appreciate the time. Best of luck heading into Big East play. Now is when it kind of gets real. Really looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to be
facts.
this year. And it's been a lot of fun watching you guys grow as a team. And in college basketball, it's not that often that you get to watch players come in, grow, and develop over the course of 3 or 4 years and turn into something that this UConn team has been. So it's been a pleasure to watch, and I can't wait to see what you guys do moving forward.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate it.